I'm back.
Every time I walk out that door, every time I interact with anybody new, my purpose is to help change.
It's time to celebrate life. If you know that you're in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know you want better for your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you have what it takes to be in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you are not just trying to be good for you, but for those around you, it's time to stand up. As a matter of fact, look to the person to your left and tell them you are enough.
I want to help you change, and just like you change, every time I interact with somebody, they help me change. It's no different than if I met an individual and they had 4 quarters and they needed change, or if I had $1 and they had 4 quarters, I need to change. We can swap the money. The value is still the same. They still got $1, I still got $1, but we both exchanged something, and it was a change for both of us. So every time I walk out that door, I inspire to help change lives just as much as lives have changed me.
Y'all been listening to the wrong people, watching the wrong things all your life, and it's time to put to rest all those negative thoughts, because you are enough. It's time to put to rest that self-doubt, because you are enough. It is time to get rid of that negative energy, because you are enough. It is time to stop listening to people that don't have the best interests of you in your life, because you are enough. So let's have a moment of silence. I want everybody to understand that you are the person that's in charge of your life. Everything that you have inside of you to be who you're supposed to be in life. You have a destiny, and that destiny can only be accomplished through you, by you, and only you, with the help of God. When you realize that you are the person you are, because you're not a carbon copy, there's only one you. They try to put you in a box. Society tries to put you in a box, but you can't be in a box. How can you be in a box when there's only one you? But then they tell you, think outside the box. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there is no box.
I want to pass on the things that I have to the generations behind me. By the time it's time for me to get called home and go to the grave, I want to be empty. I believe in bankrupting the cemetery, so I can't take this knowledge with me, because the cemetery is already full of brilliant ideas and unwritten books and innovative ideas. I can't take this with me, so I'm trying to leave it all here as Billy Graham Jr. to the next generation so somebody else can carry it on. And we are back. Man, oh man, it is great to see everybody. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Man, it's been a wonderful, amazing week, and I hope it's been amazing for you as well. Because when I tell you, the guest today is about to not just amaze you, not just blow your mind, they're going to make you question and ask that thing of, how does he do it? I mean, we always hear about people saying, chase your dreams, follow your passion. But you've never seen it done at a scale like this. Yes, you hear people that they work their 9 to 5, because we're not about telling people to quit their 9 to 5 and pursue their passion. Sometimes you might love your 9 to 5. Sometimes you want to pursue something outside of it. You have the 9 to 5. Then you have people that go home and turn their 5 to 10 and keep the hustle going as they do their side business, or use it to that time to chase their passions and purpose. Well, the individual today, I don't even know how he finds the time. Not only is he a full-time employee, not only is he also a business owner, he's also a full-time student. He's hitting the trifecta. Now, I could try to explain how he does it, but I would do it a disservice, because to be quite honest, I'm kind of baffled by it myself. So without further ado, I'm not going to hold you up, because we want to know, how does he do it? So I have to bring on, so he can tell us from his perspective, the one, the only, Julian Nicholas.
Hello, guys. My name is Julian Nicholas, and yeah, like Billy said, I'm a full-time student, business owner, and work full-time. And life gets crazy sometimes, but I seem to manage it well. Yeah.
Man, now you say you manage it well, and I must tell you, it has to be because I don't know how you actually do it. So I want to know because we're all curious. First, let's start with the beginning. Where did you start? Like, what got us to this point? Where was that starting point for you? Like take us back. Like, when did you say, I'm going to school, I'm working, and I'm finna start a business? How did that even matriculate? Like, where was the starting point for Julian? How did that work?
Well, it started for me. I've just never settled. I never want, nothing's ever been good enough in a good way, though. Like I got my commercial driver's license when I was 21, and I thought that, this is it. Like I'm living the good life, I'm making the good money. But then, as I started going through the motions and the years of driving, I was like, there's got to be something more. There's got to be something I can do to make the same amount of money and not have to drive over these North Dakota wintry roads, which are just insane. Much respect to those guys that are doing it, enjoying it. However, it wasn't for me, and I knew that. And so, with that, that's when I decided, like, well, the only way that my life is going to change is if I make a change, and it's got to be a drastic change. So I was like, I'm going to go back to school. And I really enjoyed watching Wolf of Wall Street and Limitless, and even a couple other movies with Will Ferrell as a finance manager. I was like, that seems cool. I want to do that. I want to go and try that. And so that's where that whole dream just came from. And then throughout the journey of school, I've been pulled in different ways. I got pulled into leadership. I never said no. They were like, hey, Julian, do you want a ham sandwich? I was like, yes. Do you want chili with peanut butter in it? Yes. Do you want to do this leadership thing? Yes, absolutely. And so I never said no. And being around other people that are focused on the same thing, like leadership, teamwork, entrepreneurship, it kind of really just opened my eyes to what I really found passion in. And so I was able to narrow it down to, I think I can run a business. I think I can really do this. And so my first business idea was I'm going to be a home inspector. Low startup, seems easy. Those guys, probably inspect 3, 4 houses a week and just make bank, or at least in my mind, they probably do. And then so I studied a lot. I got certified in it, and then I was on this very popular app called TikTok. And I scrolled one night, and they were talking about vending machines, and I was like, what the heck? Like they're making money off of vending machines. And I was like, well, vending machines is passive. I don't have to go inspect a vending machine 3 or 4 times a week, not like a house anyway. And so I was like, let me just see if I can find a vending machine in the area. And I did. And, I was like, where am I going to put this thing? And I lived in an apartment building, and the manager she was a really laid back manager. And, throughout that leadership training in school, throughout being, involved in all those things, I learned how to draft these pretty much essays on whatever I wanted to say. And I was just like, hey, I think I can do this. I think I can make this much money, and I think it's going to add value. And I gave her the riot. I read her as much. I sold myself as best as I could.
Okay.
And to my surprise, she was like, go for it. And, and then it just was a snowball. And then it just got bigger and bigger. And that's pretty much how I got here today.
Okay. Now you got things turning in my mind because you said a few things in there for some people that are out there listening, and they're sitting there like, well, what made you do this? So you originally said I went back to school. And it's like, okay, let's go back. Because I don't want anybody to miss and understand. Because somebody might be in your shoes, somebody might be wondering what their next move is. and you said go back to school. What was that initial thing? So initially you were in school, then you left school, and
Yeah,
then got
so
your drivers. Like, how did that work?
when I was 18, 19, I dropped out of college for culinary arts. I probably had a semester or two left. I had dropped out of college, and then I went back home and lived with my mom. And then, mom was, pretty much pulling at the pant leg, like, you gonna do something? Or, and then since I do live in North Dakota, there was this huge trucking boom, and I just was like, yeah, I'm gonna drive, and I got the license. And then about 5, 6 years into driving, I was about 27, 28ish, and I was like, something's got to change. And so I went. That's when I decided that I should go back to school and learn something new.
So how take us like take it to how does that thought process work? Because I've done it before. I've heard of other people doing it. If you're in school, you're like 2 semesters away from finishing. Like you put all this into it. What is that mindset? Because there's people out there. I've been one of them that you're doing something and you know you might not feel like this is right, or you don't feel like doing it. And many people just continue on with it. And then they end up in careers and jobs that they don't feel passionate about because they felt they had to stick to it. What was it that said, I know I'm almost done, but culinary school is not for me?
I think I was just homesick. I had been away from my family for a good 3 or 4 years. I left at an early age of 16 or 17 and kind of just went and did my own thing. And by the time I was 18, 19, almost 20, I was really just like, I want to go home to somewhere familiar. I'm not enjoying my time anymore, and just I just felt alone. Really, Billy, is what. So thinking about how much time I have left, that seems smaller to me than what I really needed, if that makes sense. And
No,
which was
no, no.
family.
No, that makes sense because I'm a big advocate that mental health is important. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, trying to stick to something and push yourself through something is not necessarily beneficial in you the long run when it's affecting your mental health. And so, I want to get this straight. You needed to get back because you were missing that avenue of family,
That
and you
support system.
that support system. So how was that support system working for you? How did it hold up? Because you said you left that, went back to the support system, but then you got the certification to drive. Doesn't that take you back away from the support system?
So I promised myself that I wouldn't do over the road stuff.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't do the gone 3 weeks, home 1 week, because I mean, you're just living on the road. And much respect to those guys that do that, but I never wanted to do that. So I would pretty much find local jobs, go to work in the morning, you're back home at night, pretty much, kind of thing. There
So
might be an overnight route, but you're not staying out 2, 3 weeks in a row. I always told myself, if the truck has a sleeper unit on it, I'm not taking that job, because a sleeper normally means you're going to be sleeping in it over the road for a couple of minutes, a couple of days anyway.
So that makes sense. That makes sense because I asked that question because I want people to understand like your life can make changes and shifts, but you have to also think about that health part of it, that mental health, that physical health. And even though you went with trucking route shoes, that was just that substance because I want people to see that sometimes you're in the motion of finding who you are and finding what you want to do in life. So you sometimes have to do certain things as because you don't know what you want to do if you never try. Some people are blessed and
Right.
know exactly off the top of their head, I want to be this when I grow up. But then there's some of us like me that I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And so you don't find out right away. But luckily for you, you did. So when you realize I'm going back to school, not culinary school, but back to school, what was that initial feeling, that thought? Because somebody out there might want to go back to school and they didn't go or feel the need to go right out of high school. What's that thought when you're in your later 20s and you're like, I'm going back to school for this? And what did you go back to school for?
I went back to school initially for management. So my thought was, I'm just tired of the entry level stuff, you know, like I feel like I'm worth more than that. But there was no way for me to just walk into an interview and say, hey, I'm worth more than this, you know, like there has to be a way for you to prove it. And I knew that the only way that I could prove it is with a piece of paper that says I know what I'm talking about, a little bit anyways. And so I was a little scared. I remember feeling scared, like this is a huge time commitment. This is just a huge commitment in general, you know, with all the things I've got going on. By the time I made my decision to go back to school, I think I had a newborn daughter and she was 2 months old. So I had a 3 and a 2 month old too. And so I was just like, me and my wife at the time were like, hey, you tired of this life? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, me too. Well, would you mind if I went back to school? And she's like, I'm all for it. And so with her blessing in a sense, I was like, this is what I got to do for my family. So in a way I was scared, yes, but I was also motivated too.
I like how you put that, because I don't want anybody to get lost on that. We're big on saying we do certain things for our support system because of our support system. We want to be around our support system. But there's a little gray area that normally gets missed. Whenever we want to do certain things in life, a lot of us just go out on a whim and do it. And we forget to talk it over with our support system. If you're saying this is your support system and these people have your back, you want to at least talk to them about some of the things you're doing, because why? They're going to support you through it. And if they're your support system and you're just forcing them and using them to do things, and they never have an ear, never have a saying, you don't have a talk with them about anything, they're just blindly supporting you, that's not fair to them. So I like how you put that, where you say, I went back, talked to my wife, what are we doing for our family? And you got that support system. So now that seems to be the point where rubber meets the road. Like you didn't like culinary, the driving was great. You got the support system back and you going to school, but at the same time, you still have to take care of the support system. So how does that work? Because I'm pretty sure that driving and going to school, how does that work at the same time? Or do you have to find a new career?
Well, it was a struggle. Luckily for me, all of my classes were online, which I feel like has its advantages, but it also has equal disadvantages. And we can touch on that a little later. But luckily, all my classes were online, so I followed a very strict schedule. Like there was no time in between getting off from work and going home because I probably had 3 chapters to read. So, and I just stuck to that schedule as strictly as I could. My wife understood because we were both on the same page. She knew what I was doing it for. So when I would, get up, I would go to work and I would get off and I would go straight to homework. I would sit in the living room with those guys, but it was almost at times like I wasn't even there because I was just deep into this schoolwork. And I figured out ways to kind of, no, I don't want to say cheat the system, but just alleviate some of the pressures of not being around, or just balance some of that time. But when it first started, when I was driving still, yeah, it was a tough schedule. I'd wake up at like 5 in the morning, go to work till about 4 or 5 at night, and then come home and then hit the books till about 10 and do it all over again.
I see. We talked about having a career, going to school, and then starting businesses. But I want people to understand, when you have a family, that is not in a negative way, in a positive way. That is a whole nother job. So you are wearing 4 hats. I commend you, and I commend your wife, because that is an amazing thought process of the difficulty, because people don't understand that time management, that juggling that, and finding that right balance. Like, even though you said it, you're in the room, but sometimes you weren't in the room, that's spaced out into the schoolwork. But it was nice that you had the opportunity because of online classes, which I can't lie, that online classes thing has been amazing. It's blessed. It helped me get degrees. So I want to hear your take, because I have my thoughts on it, but you alluded to it. You have the pros and the cons for online versus in person. For somebody out there that's listening, what are those pros and cons in your mind for the online versus in person?
Well, the pros for me is whenever you want, whenever you have time, whenever you can, it's always time for homework. You can always read a chapter. You don't have to sit in a class and wait for the next lecture. For there were some classes, Billy, that I took that I couldn't wait for the next week. Like I would finish one assignment and then jump to the next week because I was so excited about the course or I was learning so much that I just enjoyed it. Some cons, you miss that face to face. At least for me, there's some classes like right now I'm in accounting, intermediate accounting too, and it's a tough class. So having that instructor constantly, or at least 3 hours a week, where I know I'm gonna see my instructor. I miss that. And some of the campus life you kind of miss out on. Since I'm lucky enough to live in the same city, so I make my way down to campus when I can. But that's one of the cons. You don't get to experience that true college life. But that's okay too, because as an adult, as a full time dad, I need that time to be spent elsewhere. But I would say those are some of the major pros and cons for me. I really like learning online, learning at my own pace. I'm not one to like just sit back and wait for the last minute to do assignments. So working ahead, it really helps. And when you work ahead, I remember I had an 8 week class. It was an accelerated class, but I needed to double up on the credits. And I had taken the class and I had finished the class before they canceled the returns for the books. So I had finished the class in about 2.5, 3 weeks. I finished the 8 week class and then I returned the book and they were like, don't you need this book? And I was like, yeah, I'm done with the class. I don't need it anymore. So that's just one of those examples of a pro, because now I've taken a whole class load off of so instead of 5 classes, now I'm only in 4. So now I can, allocate more hours to the tougher classes. You know what I mean? So that was a cool semester for me. I liked that.
I like how you put that because that time management, we hear it all the time. Time managing, balance, work life, personal life. I don't want anybody to miss the nugget that you gave, because it's basically you're saying part of time management is while you're managing your time and taking care and juggling these things. If you spot something that you could go ahead and knock out and get it out your way, you go ahead and be done with it, knock it out, and keep moving, so it doesn't no longer take up any more of your time. That's nice. That's a good one right there. So by knowing how to manage your time, you're figuring out like, hey, I'm back to school. I'm managing this work life, school life balance, got my family getting the balance. How do you say, hey, I got this going on, I want to take on something else?
Well, my mother would say I would always add more onto my plate as a kid too. I was never full enough. I would always want more. Even if I wasn't going to eat it, I'd pack my plate full. How did I decide I wanted to take on more? I just felt like I wasn't pushing myself, if that makes sense, Billy. I uh I want everything. I want everything. If I could, I would be a diamond jeweler reseller. I would be a Kmart owner. I would bring back Blockbuster. I would drive. I would manage business. I want to do everything. I don't like feeling limited. I don't like feeling like I can't. And so when I come across the vending machine thing, like I said, I was already had my mind set on home inspections, but I was still in the very early stages. And it was like, yes, you're certified, you're book smart, but you're not like real world, like you're not on the job smart. So I probably could have went out and inspected a house and did horribly bad and maybe even got sued and took it as a learning lesson. Or I was like, I can take this and take the same money and put it in something else where it seems like I'm less likely going to fail. So I did a little bit of risk management there. And so that's why I was like, okay, if I'm going to take on anything extra, I at least want it to be, I don't want it to be 20% more hard or 20% of my time, So vending machines seem like a really passive thing. Like I make money while I sleep, like I'll go check in a month if I have time, So that was kind of my thought process when I decided, yes, I can take this on. Is that it wasn't all time consuming. It wasn't like I need to be there like a 9 to 5 to sell you sneakers or burgers or whatever. I could fill it up and walk away from it for a week and come back to it. And so that's why I was like, yeah, this could work.
Now, wait a minute. I heard you say you. So I get it. Culinary school, no, need to be back. Support system. I get it. Driving, nope, this is not it. I'm going on. Going to school, got it. You just said you went through and took all this, got the certification for being able to inspect homes. Did you ever actually inspect a home?
I never did. I never did. But if I one morning if I put that slipper on instead of the vending machine slipper on, guess what? I'm gonna wear it all day. No, Billy, I don't, like I was saying earlier, like I want everything all at once. And I think that might also be a character defect of mine. Is because I was looking at it like, okay, I think this could be a business that I could turn into profit. And then when I realized like it was going to cost money to how much money it was going to cost to start up, I kind of got a little shy and weary about it because it was a pretty big investment, about $5,000 to get started. And that was just to go train with another home inspector so that I could get that on the job training. I mean, would you want to hire a home inspector that,
Yeah,
only
yeah.
inspected one house in simulation or one that inspected 1,000 homes already? So that's kind of, like I said, a little bit of risk management that I did there. But I did pay $700 for the certification, so like it's just burning a hole in my pocket. But it's just something that if all else fails, that's I can fall back on that at least.
I was just about to say that because I don't want anybody to get lost in what translation. Even though you're pursuing something, that doesn't necessarily mean that you still can't utilize that skill. Like Julian just said, he still has that certification, being able to do a home inspector in their pocket. But it's also something else he has in his pocket. Even though he might not have finished culinary school, he still is able to go. I'm pretty sure you still cook. You know how to cook. You still know how to do these things. So it's not like the things like how to cook at culinary school and what you learn just went out the window. Like it's people out there all right now got food trucks, never went to culinary school. So you still can go out there and still utilize that skill set of cooking. So people don't get it twisted. Julian might be trying to figure things out how, as he said, as he was going through life, but he can still cook, he can still drive, and he still can inspect homes. So don't just think that when you shift from things that it's just over. Now, I want to
And
get
Billy,
to the
just to add on to what you're saying, my mom drilled it into my head. You got to have a backup plan for your backup
yes.
plan for your backup plan. And that's kind of how I've set myself up, like if I can't be profitable at vending machines at running that business, then I want to try the home inspection. And if running a business just isn't in the cards for me, then I can go back to driving. And if that is just too much again, then I can go back to cooking. And then now I have the management degree to fall back on. So I'll never take another, entry level job. Let's just say I went to McDonald's. I'm not coming in as a crew member. I want to come in as some kind of manager.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, then I've still got the finance degree that I'm working towards. So I just, backup plans. You can never go wrong with one or seven.
R7. So question. So you got the vending machines, you're getting a degree in finance. What are your thoughts of what you want to do with the degree in finance?
Well, Billy, that's a very good question. I know, well, I've found out that I don't like accounting. I don't want to show up toward no disrespect to any accountants on listening to us. It's just not for me. Um, I don't want to, I don't know. I really am just getting the finance degree to manage my own finances better.
Wow.
Because sometimes I'm a little frugal, I'll be honest. So I'm really just getting it for me. And now that I'm learning more about finance, I'm kind of finding out that I like taxes a lot. So maybe I'll go somewhere through tax. Do I plan on giving up like the vending machine business just because I have a finance degree? No, I don't think so, because the end goal for me is to, make wealth for myself. I don't want to go to work for Jim and make Jim, $1 billion a year while I only make 100,000. I want the roles to be reversed.
Yeah.
So I ultimately think the end game for me is to get the finance degree and use that knowledge to bolster my own business and go down my own path with that.
Now, I like how you said that because it's a simple fact. Like I'm real big on education. I'm not big on wasted education. So I say that because everybody doesn't necessarily have to go to an actual college to get the education on what they want. I've seen people that have crafts, whether it be welding, barbers, like beauticians. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be school, but I believe you have to educate yourself. I've seen people go to YouTube University and learn how to do it to skill, and all of a sudden they love what they're doing. But you're using them. You went got your business because you're thinking big term, long term of the big picture. I want the business. So yes, you can fall back on management, but it's better to help me run my business. Yes, I'm getting finance. Yes, I can fall back and go do taxes and all that, but I can also learn finances to how to run my business. And along the way with that, I'm going to learn how business operates and I'm going to get a vending machine. So I want to talk about that process because we hear a lot about the process of the vending machine. And I'm asking you these questions because somebody out there is trying to figure out these processes. Yes, we know about the being a home inspector that costs this type of money, but with that focus on vending machine for somebody that's out there, what does it even take to get started in that arena? Like money wise, where do you get the vending machine from? Where do you get the stuff to stock it from? Like, how do you make that a lucrative business for yourself?
Well, where do I start with that? I would just say, Billy, that if you want to get started in anything, you got to be passionate, right? You got to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself a couple of questions. Like, do I think I can do this? Is this worth my time? And is this worth the grind? Because anything opening a business related wise is going to take a lot of time and it's going to be a grind.
Yep.
So what did it take for me to get started? Well, I was driven to make a difference in not only my life, but my kids' life. So, opening a business was going to happen, whether it was home inspecting or vending. So I was really driven, and I got my financial aid, and I had about $700 in excess left over after paying for books and stuff. And I just looked on my in in Bismarck. We have a little community, kind of like Craigslist for those back in the day people. And I just looked on there and I typed in vending machine, and there was one 90 miles up the road. It was a little used, a little battered, but the guy was really cool about it, and he was just like, "Yeah, make me an offer and I'll sell it to you." And so I had made him an offer for, I think it was $650, 600, 650. And he was like, yeah. And so by that time, I had already had a place to put a machine, and there was 3 buildings in there, by the way, and I only had one machine. So I needed to figure out a way to get 2 more. But yeah, I had just gotten, it seemed like the dominoes were falling perfectly for me, like just at the right time. Because without that first vending machine, it probably would have taken me at least another month or two. And I lucked out with how close it was too. Because a lot of times people ship you a vending machine and that'll jack up the cost too. So I don't know. I've seen people get started buying vending machines for $120 all the way up to $5,000. But for me, I was just like, I'm taking what I can get, and I'll fix it up if I gotta. In fact, when I bought that vending machine, I dropped it trying to get it into my garage, shattered 2 light bulbs in it, scuffed up the side. And so when I got it and dropped it, I had to replace the light bulbs. And the front of the vending machine just said Ace Hardware on it. And I was like, this is 2022 or 20. Yeah, this is 2022. Like, it can't just say Ace Hardware. So I had gotten with a graphic designer, and they made me a new faceplate for the vending machine. So, all in all, I'd say it costed me about 1200 bucks to get started. And
Okay,
that's
okay.
installing the machine, getting product for the machine, and taking care of some electrical. I had to pay for a socket to get put in.
So let's go back. Let's go back. So for somebody that's looking to get started, what do you think it? Because you had a location. You said with a 3 building location, but one vending machine. What do you think would be that when you're asking somebody that's getting started? Would you suggest them to procure the location first, or to procure the vending machine and then go find the location?
Well, I've seen it play out both ways. I've seen people get vending machines and just have them ready to go. And then I've also seen people do the door to door sales. And yes, I'll put one here, but I got to order it first. Me personally, I would like to have a location first. That way, what kind of machine you can put in there. There's all kinds of different sized machines that offer different products and stuff. So when I got to the building and I was, checking it out, I knew that I didn't have a lot of space. The machine needed to be smaller in size, and the apartment manager wanted me to offer soda and snacks. So I thought, boom, I need a combo machine. That's the only machine that'll work in here since I can't find two. And so when I started with the soda machine, like, she was like, "When are you gonna get snacks?" And I was like, "Working on it." So she was she hounded me a little for that, but it was like, great. I'm glad you're hounding me to make money for myself.
So
But
so how does that work? So do you find the location? How do you work out? Like, does the person that's letting you use their location, do you have to give them some of the profit, or
mm,
how does that work? How does that? Because there's somebody like you were blessed, you were able to go learn this business mindset so that you could type up, hey, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it. What are your takes in that? For somebody that's out there, what is that process of talking to that business owner to say, let me put my vending machine in here and I will give you this much, or let's negotiate the profit? Like, how does that work?
well, when I first started out, I would say anything to get any kind of person to listen. Like, if me saying $10 million will get you to listen, well, then that's what I gotta say. But then I started to really refine what I was saying, to say what I wanted to say, to really hammer home the selling points. And for me, the selling points, at least for these apartment complexes, because you got to sell different. When I walk into an apartment complex versus I walk into a manufacturing facility, it's different sales tactics. So when I went in there, I was, we really, as vending machine owners, and I'm not the only one that will tell you this, we really try to stay away from that commission word, and I would not bring it up at all. So for this first one, I did use the commission approach. I told her that, I will pay you $125 a month to get this in here. Just keep in mind, it was my first machine, so I needed some leverage. So,
Yeah.
and then as I realized, like, hey man, like, I have to make $125, or I have to sell 125 sodas before I even make $1, and I can't even drink a soda because that's their soda. That's what I was thinking. And so I had gotten into a couple of forums on vending machines, and they were like, "Don't even offer it. Don't even bring it up. You're doing them a service." And that's when my mind switched. Like, I'm not selling you, these selling points that I'm bringing up. Like, I'm not selling you the greatness of having variety in snacks and soda. I'm selling you convenience. right? That is the service that I'm providing you. Like, you want a soda? Well, in North Dakota, when it's -50, do you want to go outside or do you want to use this vending machine? And so then I started to really hone in on that and come up with a couple of ways to like bend that and get around certain hurdles with that. So I pretty much now, if I walked into an apartment complex, I would say, hey, I have these combo machines. I'm not what's the word, a franchise, so I can put whatever you want in it. If you want to put shirts in there that say your apartment complex, I will put shirts in there. And I will cater to your customers' needs, your tenants' needs. I'll bring in advertisement and I will do all kinds of fun deals with you. And then, that is kind of how I would sell it now. And what if they were like, well, how about commission? And then I would get straight to the point. Like, I'm selling you convenience. I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing this so that it's convenient for you. So it costs money to run a business, and every dollar, since it's vending machines, it's a margin game. Like, one can of soda I get for 49 cents and sell for $1. You can do the math. I only made 51 cents. So it's not like I'm making tens of thousands of dollars. So that's kind of why I try to stay away from the commission. So there's a couple of other vending machine opportunities that we're looking at, and it's ice vending machines.
Oh,
And
wow.
so with the ice vending machines, commission is definitely a part of the sales pitch because of the volume that you do. So for instance, me and my business partner were thinking, just for fun, what if we made $1,000 a month or a day? We'll say a day for more fun. So that would be $30,000 a month. The machine is sitting on their property using their electricity and their water. They might be like, well, hey, wait a minute, so it makes more sense when you're making those kind of numbers to offer commission. But as far as vending machines go, we try to stay away from the commission thing.
Okay. So let's walk through it. That was because you took us to where it started, and you took us to the end of where your mind is at right now. Let's walk the people through that middle part. So you got the first one. It was 3 units, but you only had one vending machine. Were you able to go find and procure other vending machines to fill up those next 2 units?
Yes, I was. So what I ran into was a capital issue. And so it kind of like set me back. Like, I had all these locations for and these machines that they wanted placed, but I didn't have the dollars for it.
Okay.
And so now I had to readjust my game plan. Now I've got to go put on my best suit and ask people for money. And that was fun, but it was different than selling a location or trying to procure a location, because this is money we're talking about, right? So I'm like literally laying out, like, just saying, hey, Billy, I know I can make all of your money back plus some. So that's pretty much the conversations that I would have. And I started off with my closest friends and family, because I needed probably about $12,000 in capital. And so I was just, going down the list, going through all the avenues and revenue channels that I could. And then I found a guy that he used to be my boss, and we would always talk about, yeah, I'm sick of working here. I'm going to open my own business. And we would always chat like that. And I just called him up and I was like, hey, man, I got this vending machine going. It's live right now. This is what we're doing. And to my surprise, he was like, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And so, it just goes to show you're going to hear no a lot. You're going to hear no a lot, but you're one step closer to yes. And I had gotten my yes. We had gotten the capital. I took him on as an investor, and then we had gotten more machines and a little bit more higher tech machines. So the can machine that I got was probably from, like, 1999 or maybe a little older. We specifically went after 2015 and newer. So
So now, question, because you said you had to get the capital. That capital was for the vending machines and the stuff, the products you were putting in the machine. Like how much? What's that price range? Because you said the broad number of around 12,000, what you're looking for somebody that's starting out. What would be that normal price that you would suggest? Not on the ballpark, but around area for what it costs to get the machine, and versus the cost of those products. Because somebody that's those things people are looking for. Like, what will it actually cost me around about to get started in vending machines?
Well, so we once I found the investor, I immediately started scouring the internet for hours and hours, looking for what I thought to be quality vending machines. And I found one about 6 hours away, and the guy actually fixes them up and resells them. So I there was a little trust built. I'd had a phone conversation with him for a little bit, and then so he was selling these combo machines, that the ones that I needed. He was selling them for about 2,500. And the vending machine market is a little weird. The same machine that I got for 2,500 is, you could buy it for 4 grand. Somebody else might try and sell it for 4 grand. And so I'd gotten a sweet deal because I was buying more than one machine. And so I was like, well, yeah, it's 6 hours away. That's as close as it's going to get. I can have eyes on the machine rather than having it shipped here and hoping it worked.
Yeah.
So, which I would highly, highly recommend you don't do. If you can't see the machine before you give cash, don't do it. Don't buy into the whole deposit thing, because that's fake too. There's a lot of scammers out there. But yeah, so I'd gotten the machines for 2,500 a piece, and then it was about getting them here. So that's about 5 grand. And since I bought the two machines, he threw in an extra entree unit, which allows me to sell like another 217 items, which was cool. That entree unit normally goes for an extra 1,500. So
Oh wow.
I got that, and then I had to spend about $1,000 to go get the machines, and that's in gas. We rented a trailer. Of course, we had to buy us some lunch, and then
Yeah.
to fill the machines. So we weren't sure if we wanted to fill it 100%, 75%, 50%. We ended up settling on 50%. So we bought enough to fill two machines halfway. And that costed us about 400 to $500. So, but that's only on, that machine was completely empty. We haven't had to spend that much money on a restock ever. So if you're doing a running total there, I'd like to say we spent about 7 grand for
For
those
the two machines.
for the two machines, all said and done.
So roughly somebody that's starting out, if you can only find one location, you could possibly get in there for about 3,500. Round park is not a for sure fact, but about 3,500
It
gets you
could be
started.
even cheaper than that, because, like I've said, I've seen people say they found machines for $300
Oh
in
wow.
the neighborhood. And then, you go to Sam's Club, which is what I do. You go to Sam's Club and you spend $200. I mean, it might not fill the machine, but at least it's generating revenue. So maybe you have to spend less of your own cash on your restock until you just stop having to spend your own money in general. So 3,500 is, you're going to get what you get for 3,500, hopefully a quality machine, but don't be discouraged, because I've seen it done for cheaper.
So now that you have these, but back then you have these machines now. How many machines do you have now?
Now I have four. I have four
Wow.
total.
Just spread all across.
Yep. And that apartment manager has another location, so we're trying to get it filled.
So for now the big question most people always want to know. Now that you have four machines, because we're talking about passive, making money while we sleep. Not that you have to get down to the nitty gritty of your pockets. We're not trying to pocket watch you, but you got these four machines. what kind of passive income are they bringing in after you get the products in?
Well, they do pretty good. I mean, they could always do better. For me, I think they could be doing a lot better than what they are, but
Well, we
they
know
aren't.
you do that.
Yeah, right. But they aren't doing terrible. So not every dollar that comes into the vending machine is profit. There's a couple of things that we pay for, like a tax and accountant and some legal services. So not every dollar that comes in is profit. But like I said, if you get in for that $1,200 mark and you get your location and machine, you could probably start seeing profit within 2 months. If it's a home run location, probably even sooner. But I'd say, when the blizzards come through North Dakota and nobody leaves the apartment, those are high selling days. Whenever there's new product introduced that they aren't used to seeing in the vending machine, that boosts sales. Summertime hits, it's super hot out. They like a cold soda, so
So basically, from month to month, the profit margins go up and down, and you have peak times of year, like anything with any business.
it's pretty steady.
That
But yeah, you see your little booms and your slow periods. Like for Halloween, nobody wants to buy candy. Everybody's giving out candy, and probably for the next 3 days, nobody's buying candy. So you get to those are the things that you kind of learn. When I got into the vending machine business, it wasn't like I was running off for the last 28 years of my life to go study how to run a vending machine. So I literally just watched that TikTok and fell asleep and woke up with the drive that I'm gonna run one now. So I've learned a lot doing it, and I'm still learning as I go. So
and then you said one of your next adventures that you're looking into is the ice vending machine. Like for somebody that's already thinking on that level, they're like, yes, ice vending machine. Like then I just want ice because there's some places in the world and the United States where it's just hot year round. So people want ice. They always have cookouts, always have parties. How does that work with even finding the vending machine that makes? Because I'm thinking those big machines that people pull up to and got these big coolers and they walk up and it just dumps ice in. Like, how does the ice vending machine work and where do you even find those?
It works just like a vending machine would work. You put your payment in and you push a button and it vends. Except for when you push the button, it's going to spin a drum and it's going to fill either a bag or your cooler with ice. And how I stumbled on that is, it could I will give the school, the college, the business learning that I've done a little bit of credit here. I just realized that there's only one ice distributor that services the whole state.
Oh wow.
And so, when gas was really high, diesel was high, um, bags of ice were high, which told me that, the owner of this establishment probably isn't making the most money off of the ice, but they make enough money to offer it to their customers. Well, in my mind, I was like, well, I don't want to just stop at vending snacks and soda. I mean, if I could vend shoes, I want to vend shoes. If I can vend, I just want to be able to vend anything. If it sells, I want to sell it. And so that's where I was like, well, ice is crazy right now. Like I had driven past McDonald's and they had a sign saying bags of ice for this much money. Give me 1 second here.
Great.
So yeah, with the ice, I was like, why not? There's only one person here. They have no competition really. Either you're making ice yourself and selling it, or you're buying it from them. And like I said, it's expensive. So I was like, well, I think I can get an ice machine in here. And then I started, developing a sales pitch on why buying an ice machine is more beneficial. And once I really dove into the ice machine, I found out that ice is a $1 million industry. Like it's frozen water. It's simple. I know some of the people that I tried to sell on the ice machine are like, no, no, you're not going to make any money selling ice. I could go freeze water myself. And I was like, that's not the point. It's convenient, you know? So
Yep.
once I figured out that it was $1 million industry, I was like, people are really making money off of ice. And like I said, McDonald's was selling ice out of their restaurants. I was like, that was crazy to me. So, and then I was like, okay, well, there's a demand for it. I think I can supply it. And so then I started looking into ice machines. They're a little more expensive than your traditional vending machine. Probably like, you can buy used ones from anywhere from 15 all the way up to 60 grand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it just depends on how much volume it can do, and with the ice in North Dakota, you only get 100 or so days, 80 something days to sell ice. It's from because we have such long winters, and nobody's buying ice in the winter. But in those 100 and some odd days, there's $1 million being transferred in those sales, and I want a piece of that.
I want a piece of it because you don't have to restock ice. It
Yeah.
generates itself. No, that's amazing. Like I love that thought process of you're gonna go get it and you're gonna go find a way to get it, whether it be culinary, whether it be trucking, whether it be business, whether it be home inspector, whether it be vending machines, whether it be finance. We know one thing about Julian. He's going to go get it. Now, I have to ask this question, Julian, because I literally asked this question to everybody. For somebody out there, they don't know what they want to be when they grow up. They might take as long because I don't believe it's a time limit on when you find your passion, your purpose. For somebody out there that's still trying to figure out who they want to be, what they want to do, those things that want to get them to that next level because they just want more for themselves, more for their family. For somebody like you that has went through the trenches, done the different things, time managed, balance, work, business, school, what would be that piece of information that you would give them?
I would say, like stay hungry. Never settle. Just because you thought that you wanted to become a police officer and now you're a police officer doesn't mean you can't still be a brain surgeon either. And so just never settle. Take the risks. Go to those places. You never know who you're going to run into that's going to pique an interest or know just enough about this subject that'll make you fall in love with it. So that's exactly how it happened for me. I met a guy that when I was a 16-year-old that was a cook, and he seemed like he had it all figured out. And his style of cooking pushed me to want to aspire to be a good cook. And then I fell in love with cooking. And then, so it was just like a domino effect. You never know what's around the corner. So just keep going, keep pushing. You'll figure it out. I promise.
Now, everybody, you heard it from Julian himself. When you're trying to find your purpose, your passion, that thing that light that fire inside of you, just don't stop. Keep going, keep pushing. Because one thing about it, when you push and push and push, something's eventually gonna open up. Now, Julian, for those people that are out there that's like loving what you're saying, that they're passionate about what you do, they like the road you're taking. How can somebody get in touch and learn more? Just be able to connect with you.
Well, you can add me on Facebook. I do a lot. I post a lot of I try to post a lot of what I'm doing on Facebook when I have time. VendND, the website, that's the business name. I chose VendND because, like I said, I want to vend anything. I didn't want to say Julian Snack House or any kind of name like that because I want to vend stuff. So vendnd.com, vendnd for the Facebook page, Instagram. And if you're local in the area, you might just see me around. Stop and say hi. I'll probably give you a soda or something, candy bar, whatever.
I love that. I love that. Now, everybody, don't worry. I will make sure all of that information for Julian is put down in the description of the YouTube. Just make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Strategic Dope. Man, Julian, I must say, it has been enlightening having this conversation with you. That you've given so much information. We thank you for just letting us into your life, showing, because man, you, as busy as you are, just being able to take this time away to share with us, teach us how to do the vending machine, what led to it. We want to say thank you. We really do appreciate you, because the information that you gave tonight was valuable. We appreciate you, good sir.
Awesome. And hey, I appreciate you too, Billy. When I was approached with the opportunity to do this, I didn't think twice about it. I was like, absolutely. And thank you to everyone that showed up to listen. I really appreciate it. I still am a small business, so any kind of publicity I can get is good publicity. And so, like I said, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, good sir. Now, Julian, don't go nowhere. Stay with me. I want to talk to you in just a few seconds. It won't take but a second. But again, thank you for tuning in, Mr. Julian Nicholas, and good sir. We will see you on the other side.
Absolutely. Thanks. And you guys have a good night.
You too, brother. Man, I don't know about y'all, but I look at vending machines a lot different now. Like, we already knew they were passive income, but the information that Julian shared tonight, not just about vending machines, it's about being able to find those things, that passion, that purpose that leads you to fulfillment. You've seen Julian. We went from culinary, we went from driving, we went from being a home inspector, from getting a degree in business, now a degree in finance. It's all about doing the little things until you find what you want to do, because you never sometimes know what you want to do until you try it. You can come up with ideas, but as Julian shows you, it's all about the work you put in. And when you put the work in, you're going to find your way. And as he said, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Man, it was amazing talking to Julian tonight. I enjoyed being able to talk to y'all. Man, it was a blessing. Thank you all for tuning in. I can't wait till next week, because we're going to bring another guest just amazing as Julian, because the information that we live here is all about helping you find your purpose, helping you find your passion, helping you understand what it takes to get there. We always hear about them when they make it to the top, but let's find out what it takes to get there en route to achieving your purpose. And the only way that you can find that about yourself is if you continue to live in your purpose, with purpose, on purpose. Once again, I thank you all for tuning in. I can't wait to see y'all next week. Y'all stay good, stay blessed. Love you. Next week.
I'm back.
Every time I walk out that door, every time I interact with anybody new, my purpose is to help change.
It's time to celebrate life. If you know that you're in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know you want better for your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you have what it takes to be in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you are not just trying to be good for you, but for those around you, it's time to stand up. As a matter of fact, look to the person to your left and tell them you are enough.
I want to help you change, and just like you change, every time I interact with somebody, they help me change. It's no different than if I met an individual and they had 4 quarters and they needed change, or if I had $1 and they had 4 quarters, I need to change. We can swap the money. The value is still the same. They still got $1, I still got $1, but we both exchanged something, and it was a change for both of us. So every time I walk out that door, I inspire to help change lives just as much as lives have changed me.
Y'all been listening to the wrong people, watching the wrong things all your life, and it's time to put to rest all those negative thoughts, because you are enough. It's time to put to rest that self-doubt, because you are enough. It is time to get rid of that negative energy, because you are enough. It is time to stop listening to people that don't have the best interests of you in your life, because you are enough. So let's have a moment of silence. I want everybody to understand that you are the person that's in charge of your life. Everything that you have inside of you to be who you're supposed to be in life. You have a destiny, and that destiny can only be accomplished through you, by you, and only you, with the help of God. When you realize that you are the person you are, because you're not a carbon copy, there's only one you. They try to put you in a box. Society tries to put you in a box, but you can't be in a box. How can you be in a box when there's only one you? But then they tell you, think outside the box. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there is no box.
I want to pass on the things that I have to the generations behind me. By the time it's time for me to get called home and go to the grave, I want to be empty. I believe in bankrupting the cemetery, so I can't take this knowledge with me because the cemetery is already full of brilliant ideas and unwritten books and innovative ideas. I can't take this with me, so I'm trying to leave it all here as Billy Graham Jr. to the next generation so somebody else can carry it on.